Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Inglaterra. Hoy quiero compartir algunos temas en común con las clases que yo enseñé esta semana, porque creo que estos temas pueden ayudar a ustedes también en su práctica. So, hello again from England. Today I'm going to share with you a couple of general themes and ideas that I've taken from classes I've been teaching with some of my students this week. I'm going to share them with you because I think you might also find them useful. So, first thing to say, when you're talking on a subject, trust yourself. Don't get too hung up on trying to translate everything perfectly in your head before you speak. Because if you get stuck in your head translating, your speech isn't going to have a nice, fluid kind of tempo to it. It's going to be very stop start, which is difficult for the native speaker, so to say, to follow, because we're expecting a particular tempo of speech, and when we don't hear that, we think you've stopped or there's some other problem, and it's difficult for us to follow your train of thought, what you're trying to tell us. So it's better to trust yourself that you have the vocabulary, speak as naturally as you can, and if you get stuck on a particular word that you just can't think of, allow the person you're talking to suggest it. Because we're listening along with you, and basically we're waiting for the story to end, and we want to know what happens next. So if you get stuck for a word, we'll probably suggest the word to you just to check that fits with the narrative that we're hearing you say. So that's the first idea. Trust yourself. Don't get too hung up on translating in your head. Your first guess is probably correct. Go with that. It's more important to keep speaking in a fluent way. Second idea to come out of the classes this week, questions. Questions are very, very useful things to get good at. If you can ask better questions, your conversation will work better because it allows you to open that conversation much more easily, let the other people tell you and share their thoughts, ideas, and give you information. It helps the conversation move on much more easily when you have good questions to ask. And it's easier to prepare questions for situations than it is to memorize lots of vocabulary for you to talk on the same topic. So questions, think about that. The other point to come out with is sometimes it's necessary for us to go back and practice specific elements of our speech because perhaps we're finding some of the pronunciation difficult or particular words are hard to say. And it's good to practice this by looking at similar sounds, similar sounding words in combinations, so we can really see the kind of opposites to get a better sense of how we can control the voice. But it's not something to dwell on. Don't get too hung up on that kind of technical practice. It's good to notice that you can get closer to the sound you're aiming for, but generally it's much more beneficial, at least at the beginning, to read as widely as you can and just to practice all of the combinations of sounds of the language generally, not just to be too focused on these few that you find difficult. Because in the end, we want to build confidence that you can approach the conversations, feel happy about them, know you're going to get good results, and over time, because you're speaking to and listening to other people, eventually that control over the voice for those few sounds you find a bit tricky, that will come with time, but don't force it. Generally speaking, relax, trust that your first thoughts and instincts are usually correct, go with that, let the conversation develop, and so use questions to help expand those conversations. So that's some ideas that have come out of the classes from this week. Hope you find those useful. Déjame saber, como siempre, nos comentarios. But for now, we'll say cheerio.